photo exhibition in the next room, so please feel free to walk around. For today, this morning we had an opening ceremony from Dr. Surasak Khamkhong, the Dean of Faculty of Liberal Arts. And then in the morning we have a talk from Dr. Baird. And in the afternoon we will have another talk called the fear, overcoming the fear and from the perspectives of the environmental activists. So please welcome Dr. Surasak Khamkhong, the Dean of Faculty of Liberal Arts, to preside over today's activities. To all the honored guests, welcome to the Khamkhong Khamkhong ASEAN Environmental Week 2023. As the Dean of the Faculty of Liberal Arts, and also here we have a Khamkhong Sub-Region Research Center here at Faculty of Liberal Arts, and we have Dr. Kanokwan Manorom as a Director of the Research Center. So today this activity can be part of the activities that we do to support the sustainability of the Khamkhong River and also the environment of the Khamkhong River in the ASEAN countries. As the host for today's activity, thank you all for participating in this event. Thank you, Professor Baird, for being here to share with us the information of the dam construction and his research on dam construction. So you can see that in the ASEAN countries, there will be more and more dams built, and they can affect the environment and also affect the Khamkhong River. So here, talking about it, we can raise awareness of the importance of the Khamkhong River and how we can live with the Khamkhong River sustainably without destroying the environment. In order to create sustainable relationship between the environment and people, I would like to thank all for organizing this activity, and thank you all for working together to create the sustainability in the life of humans and create good relationship between environment and humans. Thank you, Dr. Surasak Khamkhong, for presiding over the ceremony. Next, I would like to welcome Dr. Kanokwan Manorom to be a moderator of today's activity. Thank you so much for the speaker for today. And today we are broadcasting our activity live on different platforms. Dr. Baird is the world expert working in Wisconsin-Madison in the United States of America. He has extensive experiences in the Khamkhong River. He's been doing research for more than 30 years. He can speak Khmer, Lao, Isan, like Lao, in Lao are used by Lao people. May I call him with a short name as an Ian? He will be here to present the effects of the of the dam, on the seasonal changes and the life of the people in the, along the Mekong River. So I would like to take this opportunity to invite Dr. Ian Baird from Wisconsin-Madison, United States of America, to start his presentation. Good morning, you all. Today, I have an opportunity to present my research that I have been working on along the Lao border. I will start my presentation now. I will talk about the problems of the dam, which are so there are many problems of the dam, but today I will particularly talk about the upstream dam that have effects on the people on the downstream. So I will talk about the dams in China or Laos. I will talk about the effects of the dams on the people living in the border area. First of all, I would like to explain about the area between in Laos and Cambodia. Before we can understand the problem in the area, I started to work 30 years ago. I went to Laos, to Don Con. I travel in the area, the border. At that time, I stayed there for how many years? I don't remember. I study about the immigration of fish, about the fishing of the people. After that, many years after that, I moved somewhere else. But then I went back to the area 5 years ago. I visited the areas where I lived before. Over there, it's called Don Con. Don is an island. In dry season, when the water level is low, we could walk across the island. But 5 years ago, when I visited that place, I talked to villagers that I wanted to cross the island because I used to do so. I used to go across the island. I used to walk to the island, but the villager told me that we couldn't cross the island because in the old days the water is shallow, but now the water is deep. We couldn't walk across the river to the border to the island anymore. So it's impossible to cross to the small island. So I talk about the time when I first visited the area. I remember that there's a big area of rocky island. It's been, so the villagers told me that it's been 10 years that we couldn't even look, the island hasn't been visible to us for more than 10 years. The water levels change. This is the beginning of the change that we have observed. Last year, I studied, I researched the effects of the dam in the Cambodian border and Lao border. So I went to the Lao border, which is also close to Cambodia. I went to the Stung Treng area. So you can see in the map that the Mekong River flows through the border. That is a special area because it's different. When it rains, the water, there's a lot of water and it's very abundant. That area is called wetland, which is very special, which is the most abundant area in Cambodia. It's appointed by the Cambodian government as the wetland of the country. It has diversity and the abundance of the species of the freshwater species, for example, water snail, shrimp. So if you look at the picture, you can also see Lao area. That's where I did my research. That's where I was doing my research. So you can see that in the picture there are trees that I don't know how to call them in Cambodian or even English. That tree is called Lam Sang in Thai. It can be like 20 to 30 meter tall. So the tree can actually grow very tall. And this tree is very important. This kind of tree is very important for the ecology. In Thailand, we also have the same kind of tree, particularly in UbonRatchathani along the Mekong River. But in Cambodia, we have more of this kind of tree. But I haven't seen this kind of tree in other area apart from UbonRatchathani. So this kind of tree is different from other kinds of tree. Because in the dry season, they shed the leaves fall. For other kinds of tree, during the dry season, the leaves will fall. But for this special kind of tree, during the dry season, they started to the leaves started to grow. That's why it's different from other kinds of tree. They can survive in the water. When they are flooded by the water, they still can grow. That's the special ability of the tree. And another kind of tree, maybe you guys are familiar with this. This one is called cry tree, or in English we call water willows. So this kind of tree has fruits that fish or other freshwater animals can eat. And so you can see the roots of the tree, and animals like fish can live under the tree. And there are also other kinds of tree that grow along in the river, in the Mekong River. And they are important for the ecology of the Mekong River because when it's flooding, when the water level is high, the tree, different parts of tree can be used. For example, for this kind of tree you see in the picture, people would use the stick of the tree to do the fishing gear, like fishing rod. And with so many kinds of tree in the Mekong River, people learn about fish behaviors, so they know what kind and where they can catch different kinds of fish. So this is example that I want to show you. So the man in the picture, he's carrying a fishing gear, a fruit in his hand. He used this kind of fruit, and he attached it with the fishing rod and use it to fish, because he knows that this kind of fish eat this kind of the fish eat this kind of fruit. So it's particularly a fish called pa hang hien, like pa yon hang hien in Thai. So people would use the fruit that I show you in the picture to catch them. And they usually live under the trees that grow in the Mekong River. So people would know where to find this kind of fish. For the life of people along the Mekong River, they live with the nature. They fish, they use different kinds of gear like fishing net and other kinds. So you can see in the picture that the man used a fishing net to fish. Today I would like to talk about the changes that happened, particularly about the water level, the water flow. You can see all year round, the level of water, the flowing of the river is different. Starting from the first month of the year to the 12th month of the year. This is the information that the Mekong River Project has collected. I would like you to observe that in the past 100 years, in the old days, you will see that the changes in the Mekong River of the water level did not the level of the water were not that different, and the water of the river, the level of the water was not that high in the old days, like in the past 5 or 10 years. But in 10 years ago, for example, like in March, the water level went so high, go so high. So you can see that there are changes In dry season, in April, the water level is even higher. That is those 4 months is in the dry season. If you look at the graph on my slide, this is the 100-year interval of the data collection. There are some years that the water level can go so high. But in the past 10 years, the water, the high level of water is consistent in the past 10 years. In the past 10 years, the water's level kept being so high. In the dry season, which is a problem. Some people might misunderstand that the water level in the Mekong is not high. So when it's high, it should be good. People might think that the more water we have in dry season, the better it is for us. But for engineers, they would say that it's a good thing because we have more water in the dry season. But I would like to explain it this way. The high level of water actually can cause damages to the Mekong River. People living along the banks of the Mekong River in Cambodia, they know that the water level is high, particularly in the dry season, and that can destroy or cause damages in the ecology of the Mekong River. I would like to explain more about the area and the changes in the level of the water. Why the water level is so high? Is it because of the climate change? But it's not because of the climate change. It's because of the dams, because of the hydropower dams, especially ones in China. But not all the dams cause the high level of the water. Because for some dams, they can cause changes in the water level in the short term. But there are large-scale dams. For example, Ubon Dam that has big storage capacity. And we have some dams in Laos that store water in the rainy season and release it in the dry season. Next, I'll talk about that normally dams would store water in rainy season, and then in the dry season dams will release water. But where in Cambodia, where I did research, when the water level is higher, the water level has been higher, 1 or 2 meters higher than usual compared to the past. Here, I would like to talk about the dam that have been built with large storage capacity. Especially these 2 dams, Nu Sadu Dam and Lan Sang Mae Khong Dam. Nu Sadu Dam by the Lan Sang and Mae Khong China investors. And also the Ubon Dam by the Lan Sang Mae Khong China. Another one is Nam Thơn Dam in Laos. Nam Thơn Dam 2 and Nam Thơn Dam 1 in Laos. Nam Ngum Dam, Nam Ngum 1 Dam and Sekaman Dam in Laos, which are the dams in the tributaries of the Mekong River. So they store water and they release water in the dry season. And also here, Sayaburi Dam and Don Sahong Dam do not have anything to do with the high level of the water because they do not have the storage capacity. And also Don Sahong Dam, they do not have storage capacity because they are this reservoir. But the dams that I have mentioned before, they have the large storage capacity. But what about the effect of those dams? So you can see that the lam sang tree died because of the high level of water. So 50 or 40% of the trees have died now because the water level is so high. Normally, like in the past day, when the water level is high, they could survive for a while, but if the water level is high all year round, if the area is flooded all year round, they die, they couldn't survive. Trees, this kind of tree can, endure the flood for some seasons, but not like all year round. The ecology of the Mekong River, has the tides, the water has to be low, the water can be high, but not like, in the same level all the time. That's how the beings in the ecology can survive. So with the changes, you can see that the trees are dead because of that. See, you see all of them are dead, like in the picture. It's clearly that the lam sang, the dead lam sang trees in the picture. But also the cry, water willows, sorry, that bear fruits also die. But this kind of tree, we actually people actually can eat the flowers. And also with the willow, the water willows, 90% of them die because of the flooding, not the flooding, sorry, because of the high water level. But not all kinds of trees that die because of the high level of water. I mean, not all trees die because of the high level of water, because some trees that are like tall can still survive. I have lots of pictures of the dead tree to show you. But for like some trees, they can survive because they are in the shallow area of the water. They can survive, but for trees that are in the very deep water, cannot. There's another kind of tree called gok hai tree. They can survive because they actually attach to lam sang tree. But when they are attached to lam sang tree actually die. but the high tree actually survive. So this is one of the effects that happen from the changes in the water level. Another thing is the sandbank by the Mekong River, which is very important in the Mekong ecology. Because this area there are freshwater animals like shrimp or water snails. People come here to fish, to catch them. And before when there were a lot of trees along the Mekong River, they can prevent the erosion when the water levels increased. But after the dam construction, when the trees die, they cannot help to prevent the erosion anymore. That's the example that I wanted to give to you. And you see that kind of bird in the picture? In Thai, it's called Sida bird. In the dry season, this kind of bird, when the water is shallow, they would go to the bank of the river to make a living. But when the water is high in the dry season, they do not have the habitat. They cannot lay eggs on the bank of the river, because when they lay eggs on the bank of the river, they submerge under the river, under the water, and they die. Because in the old days, in the dry season, when the water is not high, they would have the area for them to lay eggs. But now they cannot do the same thing. Freshwater animals also cannot adapt. In the picture, you see the water snail, freshwater snail. In the ocean, a lot of people could catch this kind of water snail, but they disappear because we don't have the island. Because the small islands are submerged under the water. You see that kind of fish on my slide? We eat fruits from the tree growing in the Mekong River. In its life cycle, it eats fruits. It eats water. In some seasons, it would eat fish, water snail, or fruit. Especially in rainy season, it would eat fruits from the tree. So when we don't have trees anymore, when the trees are dead, they wouldn't have food to eat, and that can affect their life. Because this kind of fish rely on the fruits in rainy season, and this kind of fish is important fish for the economy in the Mekong area, in Thai, in Laos, and Cambodian areas. This kind of fish on the picture, you could see that the one before this picture, they also eat fruit. And this kind of fish called pung fish. This kind of fish also eat seasonal fruit. So they depend on the trees in the Mekong River. Without trees, these species will also disappear. this kind of fish is a large and expensive fish. That is the yawn fish. Also, they also eat fruit. They eat different kinds of fruit. That is pa ban. And they are rare. This kind of fish eat roots. Eat roots of the tree. You can see their teeth. So they have like very sharp teeth, so they can bite off the roots of the tree. But now there are no trees, there are no roots, and they don't have food to eat anymore. You can see the fish in the picture. Sorry, I missed the name, but this kind of fish can be like very small or big. People told me that they use their tail to hit the island, the bank area. So when there are no trees, when there are no roots, they affect the life of the fish. Because this kind of fish is like a big fish. It can weigh like 300 kilograms even. That kind of fish you see in the picture, they also eat fruit. Sorry, I missed the name of the fish. Pan Kham. They also eat fruit. This kind of fish. They can be very big. They can weigh like 2, 3, 4, 5 kilograms. But now I would like to talk about people who make a living in the Mekong River. So they live by the bank of the river. You see, they are poor. So after the changes of the Mekong River, they get even poorer because the trees die. The habitats of the fish are destroyed. They see that they have seen changes. They said that in the past days the trees survive, but now all of them are dead because there are changes. They know that it's not the same anymore, but sometimes they couldn't explain why. You can see that her house over there, and the house is very, very old, and because of how their life is affected by the changes in the Mekong River. So I talked to people living by the Mekong River. I asked them like, how many meals do you have fish as the main food? And they said that all meals, 3 meals of the day, because it's our main food, main kind of food. But when we cannot fish, it affects their life. They don't have food. And people don't have money to buy food, to buy fish. If they cannot catch fish, they cannot buy it. They cannot afford to buy fish on their own without being able to catch them. because the river is like their market. They cannot just go to the market to buy it. So look at this elderly. They cannot go out to make a living. So they have to rely on their grandchildren, on their children. So if their grandchildren or their children couldn't make a living, they don't have anything to eat either because they are poor. Poverty doesn't only about it's not only about money. Poverty can be caused by the lack of food, the inability to find food on your own. So that's the problem that people have to face nowadays. So I want to conclude my presentation. The problems that we experience nowadays is that in the dry season, there's too much water, more than too little. Because obviously it's because of the large-scale dams in the Mekong River and its tributaries. Because people misunderstood that in the dry season the water should be the level should be low and there should be little water, but it's not like that anymore. And what's the effect of having too much water in the dry season? When the water because the Mekong River has been evolved for like thousands of years, but now the changes happen too fast. It cannot adapt. The life in the Mekong River cannot adapt. The ecology is changed because the wetland forest need low water to survive. All lives in the water, in the river, are affected. And people over there, they did not receive any compensation from the loss of their way of life, because the water level change. It can be higher, like it can be like 1 or 2 meters higher than before. In some dams, they are also affected by the higher level of water. Sorry. I meant that maybe 5% of the dams in Thailand, have to do with the higher level of the water, and 45% of the dams are in other countries like China or Laos. If you have any questions, feel free to ask me. If you have any questions, you can ask Dr. Ian right away in Thai or in Lao. It's okay. Okay, we have a question from one of the participants. He just asked the staff to find a microphone for the participant because he wants the microphone to answer the question. Are you gonna speak Thai? No, he was kidding. So her question is about the water flow in the Mekong River, and she wants to know the different colors, what they mean. So, so the color mean different thing. When the blue color means the water is at the high level, and the green color is like in the middle, and the red color is like the water is in the lowest level. So in some parts of the month, the water can be high or low or like in the moderate level. So Dr. Ian Blair would explained that in some months, in a month, the level of water can be different. Maybe in the beginning of the month, the water level can be high, and then it goes down. So if you look at the bigger chart, you can see that, the water level fluctuates. It can go high and low, and it keeps changing. Don't you want to know how we can change, we can solve the problem, how we can change this? You guys don't ask question. I will have to ask question for myself. You can talk to me in Lao. She's Lao Japanese. If we want to solve the problem of the water changing, the changes in the water flow, what plans do we need? What can we do? Can we release the water to make the level lower? So my question is, because you are the expert in this area, you have extensive experiences, so how can we solve the problem? We can actually solve this problem, but it's not easy. Because when people build dams, they thought that it's a good idea. They can use the dams to store water in the dry season. The engineers, they also think that it's good to have a lot of water, but in reality, it's not a good thing. So how it works for the engineers, they would, we can actually release water, when there's too much water. But they wouldn't do that because they could lose a lot of money because they need water to generate the hydropower, and they can make a lot of money in the dry season from generating the electricity. Because these investors, they are private companies, and they do not want to lose profits because they have been invested a lot of money in the projects. So how to change it, how to solve the problem? We can do it, but it's not easy. to do because in some areas not all trees die. In some areas trees can still survive because especially the area where the Sekong river flows through with the level of water that is not so high as other areas. But in the near future, if we have more large-scale dams with more water, the problem will be worsened. So how to solve the problem of having too much water in the dry season? We can release water, but it's not easy. It's easier said than done. So to solve the problem in the long term is to not have more dams. If we don't build any more dams, the problem still exists, but it wouldn't be worse because like for example, some trees still survive. They can still save the environment. They can still help maintain the ecology. If we tell the investor, the engineers to release the water, we need to be clear about the problem of having too much water so that we can negotiate with those investors. We all know that the Mekong River is the source of life, of income, of living for so many people, like million and million of people in the world. So we have questions from several participants in this room. So we can see that the water level is higher than before. So in the past year, I had been to the area to work as a translator. From my observation, when the water is high and the banks disappear, so my question is, when you say that the water level is high, but I can see that when I look at the beach and the bank area, it seems that the water is low. So you can see that the bank is like lower and it seems like there's little water, but that's not true because a lot of water, the high level of water also like get rid of the sediments in the river that makes it look like the water is not that high. So I would like to know the water management, whether it's how participated it could be for like all the sectors can take part. Actually, there's a planning, there's a collaboration, so that all stakeholders can benefit from working together to solve the problem. So you see that the fish in the Mekong River, there are Mekong River projects that coordinate with a lot of sectors to solve the problem. So, but you can see the Mekong River project are only responsible for the blue area on the map, but for the yellow area where the dams belong to the Chinese government, it's so hard for the Mekong committee to like work on those dams. But actually, we should be able to work together in the Mekong countries, like in China. But because it's about like border and it's about the territory of the country, China wouldn't want us to get involved in their territory. So it would be hard for us to work with like the investor, the stakeholder of all the dams in the Mekong River.
Okay, thank you. So เดี๋ยวก็ยกคำถามเนาะ
Speak English. So the question is, have you researched this? So what was your next plan? What are you going to do next? It's actually a good question because I'm not a government. I'm not part of the government. I cannot decide what I want to do to solve the problem. I only present the information of the research to the government so they can understand the problem. For example, when I did research in Cambodia, next year, in the future, I will do more research in the dry season in Khamkhong area to the downstream area, to Ubon, and then I would go back to Cambodia again. So when in the past year when I did research, I only the length of the area that I travel would be like around 100 kilometers, but now I want to do like 1,000 kilometers of the distance where I would travel to, so I could write an article to present the information. But then the final decision would depend on the government. It doesn't depend on me.
Thank you so much. I'm kind of concerned with the data that you actually showed us. There are some specific species of fish in the Mekong region that's dependent to foods, if I'm not mistaken. And then with what's happening to the Mekong River right now, the trees, there's a possibility of extinction of this species, right? And if there's extinction, who should be accountable for this? That's my question.
So his question is, right now you could see that the trees most trees are dead, and who will take responsibility for it? Well, this problem it's not only affected by just one dam, but by most dams in the Thai area, Lao area, and Cambodian area. So there should be someone working to get everyone involved in those countries, because this issue is not personal. So everyone should take part in it. So the collaboration is not happening yet, but we should make it happen and we should make it possible. Thank you, Dr. Ian, for giving us very useful information on the effects of the dam construction on the environment, ecology, and the life of the people. So the dam on the upstream area actually affect the life of the people, especially the poor. Because Mekong River is the source of the food for the people. And also all of the dams that were built actually affect the life of the people. Not just only one dam. What's the solution for this one? Everyone has to work together to present the information of the impacts of the dam. And we need reliable information. For example, the information from the researchers like us that can, present the information to the Mekong committee in order to fight for our rights and in order to solve the problems that we experience. So please give a big hand to Dr. Ian Baird for his presentation. So we have snack break for everyone, but we would like to reserve the break for our guests first. For students, maybe if we have some left, you can have some, but please understand that we have limited sets of breaks for the participants today. Thank you so much for joining us. Please enjoy your break. Thank you.
Yeah, very good.
I think it's a problem with the room. It's very echoey.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's hard.
But still, you did the great job. I can imagine. It was like, oh my god. have done a great job. เป็นการเย็นมากค่ะอันนี้
อ๋อมันเย็นเหรอ
Yes.
มันหนาวเกินไป I think you can adjust the temperature. Oh, I know. Now it's 23.
Oh, okay.
You want it 25?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, 25.
Thank you. ขอบคุณค่ะ So by the way, what is your name?
Om.
Oh.